Hello and welcome back to the Doctor Who Marathon. I'm your host McEdam, and today we're going to be talking about Planet of the Daleks, written by Terry Nation, his first Doctor Who story that's not the first Doctor story, and directed by David Maloney. This 6-part adventure follows straight on from Frontier in Space. But it has really nothing to do with it, apart from the fact that you see the ending of Frontier in Space at the start of this story, and only slight mentions of it. This is really a standalone story. So the interference of this story in Frontier in Space, in my opinion, was just not justified. So, yeah. Sorry about that. But anyway, how does this story itself hold up? Nicholas Briggs, the voice of the Daleks in the new series, has decided to retitle this story as The Daleks' Greatest Hits, as Terry Nation reuses a lot of elements from previous Dalek stories. In fact, the story basically acts like a remake of the first Dalek story, as we got the Dalek city, and around it is a jungle. The Doctor teams up with the Thals and encourages them to basically go into the Dalek city. You've got a few scenes that are basically ripped right off that story, like the team, one of them getting inside a Dalek shell and pretending to be a Dalek and going into the city, and a scene in which there's like an elevator thing, and here it's like an air vent, and a Dalek's pursuing them, but it gets stopped by throwing rocks underneath, throwing rocks on top of it. I apologise. So yeah, it's got a lot of Dalek similarities, and even the way the story looks with the jungle, and it's got even the stock sounds of animals in the background. We've got some classic Dalek sounds of the ships and stuff. So it seems a lot like it's doing like the best of Dalek moments. There even a plot with invisible monsters that live on this jungle planet, very similar to that one episode of the Dalek Master Plan. So yeah, Terry Nation isn't a very original writer. He uses a lot of plot elements he has done before, and a lot of people have taken criticism to this, but I personally really liked it, especially when you consider this was part of Doctor Who's 10th season. So I think it's kind of justified that this story is on similar ground with previous stories. It feels like it's a nostalgic piece for any Dalek fans of the previous stories. So yeah, I really enjoyed this story. For 6 parts, it flies by, and you've got some really great moments. Another element that feels similar to like a first Doctor story is actually right at the very beginning, as the third Doctor is he's basically taken ill, and so he basically hibernates, going into a coma. Something which would happen a lot in the first Doctor era, and so Joe has to travel outside the TARDIS to try and find help, similar to how Susan had to come out of the city to find help in the Dalek. So again, another parallel. And then she meets the Thals, and they go after the Doctor, who has now at this point recovered. And there's some great moments here. There's a great bit where the Doctor can see the Thals and he's talking to him, and we get a really awesome fan moment in which he mentions Ian, Barbara and Susan. So he actually does mention being on Skaro the first time with the thing, and it's to hear John Pertwee saying the names of previous companions and his granddaughter, which he doesn't bring up. He never actually says his granddaughter. He just says Susan. So that's very bizarre. But yeah, it's very, very cool little moment. But it's only like a little snack. It has nothing really bearing on the plot. but it is really cool that we do get this fan moment. The cliffhanger to part 1 is probably one of the most iconic shots in the Third Doctor era, in which they find an invisible Dalek and they spray paint it to realise it, and the Doctor's like shocked. It is a very great cliffhanger, don't get me wrong, but however, if you really think about it, it makes absolutely no sense with the Doctor's reaction and how he's surprised that the Daleks are there. For starters, he was on the pursuit of the Daleks from Frontier in Space. He's met a bunch of Thals. Daleks have been mentioned repeatedly at this point, and yeah, so maybe it's just a shock that the Daleks have become invisible, as they're on this planet to get the secrets of the citizens of Spyridon. The creatures are invisible; you can't see them, and so the Daleks try to basically learn their power, and they discover that they can, but only short periods of time. Now, a big criticism a lot of people have with this story, and I totally agree with, is that this plot element with the Daleks learning invisibility goes absolutely nowhere. Apart from this one Dalek that we see incapacitated in part 1, we never see them use this ability. In fact, in part 6, one of them mentions that they've mastered this ability, but only for short periods of time. And yet we do not see it at all. So that's kind of frustrating. That's a criticism to have with the story, that they set up this plot element and do nothing with it. But we also get some great scenes in which the Daleks are going to destroy a Thal ship, and the Doctor, believing Joe is in there, basically rushes out, blowing his cover, and is like, don't shoot in there, there's somebody in there. And the Daleks just take no notice of him. They paralyse him to take him to interrogation later. And they see the ship and they just destroy it, taking no notice of the Doctor's words, killing, in the Doctor's eyes, Joe Grant. So, very, very cool scene there. And some of my favourite parts in the story is when the Doctor's in the base, on the Dalek base, with this another Thal character. They're in prison, and they're planning on trying to break out. And there's a great line, probably an era-defining moment, in which the Doctor says something like, being brave isn't about not being frightened. It's about being frightened and still doing what you need to do anyway. Something like that. And John Pertwee really nails it. This story has like an anti-war theme going on, as the Thals are more emotional creatures, and the leader, he doesn't basically believe in violence, and he's trying to plan out as soon as possible, plan out as much as he can. Whilst there's another Thal, his like second in command, who just wants to be like, why are we waiting? Let's just head right in, get our bombs, and just destroy the Daleks as much as possible. But that's one of our big conflicts, and it gets even more complicated when another group of Thals come to the planet. And one of them consists of a character called Rebecca, who the Thal leader fancies. And so her being there is like alternating his judgment. Now, another criticism I have with this story is how the female characters are written. Very old-fashioned. Joe Grant is only really here to be spoken information to, like a typical companion, and being the surrogate emotional weight for the other female character. And Rebecca, she's only really there to make it a little bit more complicated for the other main characters, how she's there and it's distracting the leader. And even she admits, it's like, I didn't really think about that, I'm sorry. No, you don't want to fight in a Dalek. You came to this planet knowing that with the Daleks attacking, and your only concern is that you are a distraction from his partner. No, take some action, get some guns blazing and stuff. But it's a nice character, don't get me wrong. The woman who plays it is phenomenal. But in terms of how she's written, she's just sort of a plot convenience to get our characters to be more emotionally invested in our story. Which I don't think was really needed. I mean, these are Daleks. You don't really need a better reason than they're Daleks. They plan to destroy the universe. But I think it's only a really small criticism, as the rest of it, in my opinion, is just so good. And one great element to the story is David Maloney's directing. My God, this story is oozing with atmosphere. To the sets in the thickened jungle, to just outside the Dalek base, where it's got two Daleks standing out of like Aztec-looking rituals, and you've got the citizens of Spyrodon wearing these like purple furs going in and out and stuff, and the darkened colours, and just the story just looks amazing. It's probably my favourite looking Third Doctor story. David Maloney is a fantastic director. I mean, he did The Mind Robber and The War Games, two of my favourite Doctor Who stories, and this shows him probably at his best. I know he does he's done a few stories after. He did Genesis of the Daleks, but I don't know, something about this colour, something about the greens that just pop out, and the green and purples, which in comic books, green and purples are normally used to indicate genius or alien or evil. So great coding with the colours, and obviously having a story with the Daleks, the most evil race in the universe. So yeah, I don't know what I can talk about this now. So let's just jump into part 6, because part 6 we get introduced to the Supreme Dalek, and this thing looks absolutely gorgeous. I love this design. Yeah, he doesn't do anything, as he only appears in part 6, and I don't even think he gets an encounter with the Doctor. But something about his presence, he's only there for the ending, and I love it because he comes in and he's got a badass design, and he's got this huge temper, and he destroys one of the Daleks that fail him. And in my opinion, he's probably the best looking Dalek in the entire series. I like something that I don't think any other Dalek design has done, which I really wish they did, with the Supreme Daleks, the light glow, which is the first time they use like a cone shape, a step from like a round ball shape, which was the standard in classic Doctor Who up until the new series, I think, yeah. But this Dalek also has the eye that it has lighting up as well. So it has some really, I think that was a really cool design, and I'm surprised no other Dalek design has done the 3 lights. But oh well. But yeah. So there you go, that's Planet of the Daleks. Very great story. Its main strength is its atmosphere and its nostalgic factor, how it relies on its being like the best of the Dalek stories. It might not be a good story to start off with, because a lot of the fun of it comes from the audience going, "Oh, I remember that from that story. Oh, I remember that from this story." But I don't know. I think I watched this one growing up. I can't really remember too much, and I didn't have a problem with it. So I highly recommend The Planet of the Daleks. So check it out. So join me next time where we say goodbye to a faithful friend of ours and we get a story about pollution and giant bugs. So join me next time for The Green Death. I'll see you next time on the Doctor Who Marathon. Ta-da!